Coming up next, right here, only on the Fortminorproject channel, my video response to good old SND. Yes, my top list on greatest pay-per-view matches of all time. You know what's coming up next. Roll that damn intro.
Inside me, a light was turned on. Then I was alive. If you close your eyes, your life, and naked truth revealed. Dreams you never lived and scars never healed. In the darkness, light will take you to the other side. And find me waiting there, you'll see if you just close your eyes.
Alright, what's going on, guys? Fortminorproject back at it again in here for the video for you guys for today. And in here, as you can see from the title below, yes, I am in here for a video response to good old SimonNicolHD on a video that he did on top 15 best pay-per-view matches of all time. So this is basically my list. Not trying to have anybody take it seriously, get butthurt or whatever have you. If you have your own list, feel free to leave it down below in the comments, or even make your own video and we'll have a discussion about it. So this is my personal list. I had fun doing this, making my own top 15 list, going back from the past and current. So you'll see not only current, but you see some women's matches in here, and of course matches from the past. So maybe if you guys want, let this go viral, if you will, spread it around, and we'll see what other top 15 matches, pay-per-view matches of all time are on your list, and we'll see where it goes from here. So with that being said, not in any particular order, of course, this is the first match I'll be talking about, and it is the current match that we did see not too long ago, basically last year, between Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens. Definitely one of my favorite matches of current time WWE. These two fought at it basically at the Royal Rumble just last year for the Intercontinental Championship. It was a really good back and forth match that can't go wrong. Always enjoyed Dean Ambrose when especially he's at his best. Same thing with Kevin Owens, basically at their best here, given at their all. And to me, they're basically at their best each and every time. Even though right now Kevin Owens is basically having help with him right now, doesn't really need the help, and this shows that he can get the job done on his own the very best that he can, and everything else in between with these two. You basically saw it all, and it was a hell of a match, so I definitely enjoyed it. Next match is another current match, and rewinding it back to the previous year in 2015, it was a triple threat with John Cena, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. A hell of a battle between all three men, just trying to see who would go to WrestleMania that year as WWE Champion. And who would have thought on how crazy and insane and seeing literally everything, including a table spot. I believe Seth Rollins went high up in the air and did one of his spiral taps, if you will. And Brock Lesnar trying to get a WWE title as much as John Cena and Seth Rollins. Where Brock Lesnar could have won it, John Cena could have won it. It basically was a who's who, even Seth Rollins. So these three definitely did their all to say the very least. Then another triple threat match in the current time, going back to WrestleMania of last year, WrestleMania 32, where we had the Queen Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, basically the start for them on the main roster to see who would be the new women's champion. That's the debut of the women's title from Divas title to women's title, of course the start of the quote-unquote Divas Revolution, and we basically know the rest of that story and everything in the start for Charlotte to be able to be women's champion and to see where things would go between any of them. So that was definitely an enjoyable match to say the very least. Even the entrances were spot on. Definitely enjoyed that for all three women. So WrestleMania 32 for that triple threat. Raw, before Raw actually, and SmackDown actually had the brand split, so where everybody was on the same show. It was couple months before the brand split would happen, so that was just having it be the transition from Divas to back to the women's division for that night, so that was the main purpose for that. Then going a little bit back now to another WrestleMania 22 to be exact, in Chicago between John Cena and Triple H for the very first time. And basically, John Cena was just starting to really actually be more of the face of the company, and Triple H, face of the company from the past, one of the faces of the company of the past, if you will, because there's technically more than one. But John Cena was looking to be the main face and everything, and it was actually a really great, interesting match to say the very least, and the title was on the line between the two. A lot of good back and forth action, definitely enjoyable. So John Cena and Triple H is on the list. And then this match right here, and I know Simon, if you will, we kind of basically feuded head to head just a little bit with Christian and Randy Orton way back in 2011, basically, where Christian and Randy Orton basically feuded for most of 2011, especially where Christian finally won the world title, and then just a couple days later, Randy Orton got the world title. I hated it. It was just crazy. I couldn't believe it that Christian would actually lose a title that quickly. I didn't understand it. It's hard to think positive about that since I've been waiting for Christian to be world champion, but he would eventually get it back, and I believe have it for about 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. And even though it was a bit of a one-sided feud for the most part, I still enjoyed it because Christian and Randy Orton did work very well with one another, and I really enjoyed the feud. So it did its job there, even though I didn't really care for it in the beginning, but over time, I did enjoy it. And it was nice to see Christian actually finally get his chance to be world champion, because he's been world champion in TNA, won most of the titles basically there. So it was a nice different change up to see that in WWE and for SmackDown. So that wasn't too bad at all. So definitely I had to have a spot on my list. Definitely for sure. Then we got into the first match, which I actually enjoyed more. Basically in any rivalry, either sometimes it might be the second match if they have like the guys go at it like 3 times, but it depends on what's happening in the feud. So with this, I'm gonna cut right to the chase. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels basically at the time, whereas the end of HBK's career, and definitely enjoyed seeing his work and Shawn Michaels. And again, with having like two favorites like that being split down the middle, it's kind of hard to see what side to really pick, and these two had a hell of a battle. Hell for both matches, even when HBK's career was on the line. Pretty much kind of like a little bit like how Ric Flair did with his career-threatening matches, but in the second match of the two, if you will, even though they faced each other like 1,000 times before, but this one actually made it even more special. It was at WrestleMania for WrestleMania 25 and again at WrestleMania 26, and just seeing these two even beforehand, but even having that more of a different type of scale, especially for WrestleMania, made it more special. So these two put on a classic match, no pun intended, maybe a little bit, but if you will, and definitely enjoyed the hell out of that. Then going into the next one is an event that I attended, the Royal Rumble match 2008. Just basically seeing everybody on all the rosters, if you will, for the most part, and my first Royal Rumble. It was a hell of a night, and seeing John Cena win it and actually coming back was unexpected. So just the whole card in itself, the whole pay-per-view from top to bottom, I actually really enjoyed that, and just to be there for Madison Square Garden and one of my first times being there just made it perfect. So I had to have something that I actually went to on this list, and the Royal Rumble had to be there, even though I've been to other shows before, but this one definitely very memorable and one of my most favorite to be a part of, and hopefully I'll get to be a part of another pay-per-view sometime down the road, and maybe add another pay-per-view list just like this, and it'll be on there, so you never really know. when it comes to that. So now with the next match here, where we have Eddie Guerrero and JBL, these two really had a war with one another and actually worked really well, to say the very least. Nothing really too much to really say, but these two definitely had a great match, and I really love the match from, I believe, Judgment Day 2004, if I'm not mistaken. So a really good pay-per-view, to say the very least, and actually one of my favorite years for WWE as a whole. So always love Eddie Guerrero, especially when he was lying, cheating, and stealing, and doing all the cool stuff that he did. He was amazing, so can't go wrong with that, and having him be with JBL was really cool. Then we had one of the first matches between the two. As Triple H and HBK, and especially at SummerSlam 2002, which was in Long Island. It kind of sucks that arena's not around anymore, from what I remember. I think it got taken down, which kind of sucks. Out of all the times that I've been in New York, I really wanted to visit that arena. I never got a chance. And basically, it was where I grew up, so even though I just got started into watching wrestling around 2001, and then watching all of 2002 and everything, it would have been nice at some point to go there, but hey, it is what it is. And just by seeing that match, just to start their feud, any one of their matches pretty much were actually really great. Depending on how you look at it, I don't know which one was your favorite, but to start things off for them, whether they were supposed to have their reunion, it didn't go as planned, and then it started things off for the feud, and then eventually turned for the world title. But this one wasn't about really the title, it was just basically them having an epic match, and that's exactly what it was. Then we got Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 19 for the WWE Championship, a hell of a match, and just to see the back and forthness of that, and Brock Lesnar going to the top. We never usually see Brock Lesnar always go to the top rope, but he did that night, and these two, of course, gave it their all. I know I seem to be repetitive on that, but, you know, with these feuds, you know, you see that, and it brings out the best in people, so that's exactly what happened, and a hell of a match for sure. Then going back to SummerSlam 2002 with The Rock and Brock Lesnar. Of course, now with this one, this is where I didn't really care too much for Brock Lesnar, and I haven't seen a whole lot, but just a little bit. And just by seeing what he was doing to The Rock and everything, since I was more of a babyface fan at the time, since I didn't really care too much for the heels like I do now, but seeing The Rock and Brock go at it, I was definitely pulling for The Rock, hoping The Rock would come back like he did each and every time to prove people wrong. And then Brock Lesnar ended up winning, and then we didn't see The Rock for a little while since he was doing the movies and stuff like that until he came back as Hollywood Rock just a little bit after, around 2003. So, you know, of course, for me, a little bit devastating to see Brock Lesnar be able to be WWE Champion at that time, but looking back at it now, I appreciate it a lot more for sure, and definitely enjoy Brock Lesnar a lot more, and like both men still. So, with that being said, that has to be on the list. And then we got another women's match, actually two here. We got Trish Stratus and Lita, basically, if you will, two best friends going at it, if you will. And especially any one of the matches haven't really disappointed me at all, whether it be them main eventing on Raw or being on pay-per-view. You know, they definitely earned their spot on this list. So with that being said, I have to go with the Unforgiven one from 2006. I believe it was Trish Stratus and Lita, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the time where actually Trish Stratus won the title and retired, sadly, in her hometown in Toronto. So, you know, it was an emotional night for seeing Trish Stratus to be able to have her last match and everything, and have her go for one more time, and having some really cool memories. I had a lot of great memories watching Trish Stratus over the years, because without Trish Stratus, I wouldn't have this next match between Mickie James and Trish Stratus. And this one, you know, seeing your two favorites go at it, especially with Mickie James and Trish Stratus, it was definitely hard to pick a winner. It really didn't matter to me because when I saw Mickie James for the first time, I knew she had it all, and just to see her was amazing, and it just made it for a hell of a match that I just go back and watch, and you know, just can't help but be in awe about this match, and definitely one of my favorites of all time for the women's side of things. So, you know, it didn't really matter because I was still a winner, so it didn't fucking matter to me. So, just seeing them go at it, the whole feud was really enjoyable to see Mickie James as a psycho gimmick and everything, and actually trying to want to be in a relationship in a way with Trish Stratus, but she didn't want any of that, and just the way how they made it very entertaining, and with Mickie James being a heel and Trish Stratus being the face, you know, it just made it for a hell of a match to say the very least. So then we get into the final two, if you will, and what we have, it can really go either way for one or two, but now with this one, where we got The Rock and Stone Cold, definitely enjoyed all of their matches, and I haven't really seen like the other previous ones. I believe I did see the WrestleMania 17 one, but that's about it. And then WrestleMania 19, I didn't get to see the first encounter until I think I saw one of the DVDs or something like that, and then that's how I was able to fully really see their final encounter even more because I didn't watch wrestling at the time when they're wrestling with their first feud to start things off. I believe I did see most of the second feud, or at least like towards the end or something like that. I don't really remember, but I know I did actually encounter the one in 2003 where Stone Cold basically had his last match with The Rock there to end things off, and The Rock ended up winning the entire feud in the end to call it a day and night, if you will. So these two, especially with the promos and the back and forth, definitely a hell of a feud between these two popular and favorite stars. So I definitely enjoyed it. And of course, I was on the Rock side each and every time since I was more of the Rock fan. Even though I do like Stone Cold, but the Rock was always the go-to guy for me and the guy that I am always going for each time when I do see him, because without him I wouldn't be here talking and doing videos and whatever have you, and being a wrestling fan and being on Team Bring It each and every time. So there you go. And then the last and final match that I basically talked each and every time, time and time again, The Rock and Hogan was the match for me that actually made me want to be a wrestling fan. Just the whole night just went well. WrestleMania 18, that's the match that I remember the most, and two of the top stars from the current era and one from the past just going head to head, and it just made it for a hell of a night, and it ended up actually bringing Hogan back as a face and going back to traditional Hulk Hogan, because at that time he was a part of the NWO, and what the NWO was doing to The Rock, I did not like it, of course, at the time, since they were basically trying everything that they can do to keep him away from WrestleMania, it seemed like, but that wasn't the case. The Rock came back, and then he was able to face Hulk Hogan, and the rest is history. So that match is the match for me, and without that, especially with this list, it had to be at least in the top spot. So again, not in really any particular order, but either way, it was going to be on the list, if you will. So with that, that is my top 15 matches. I believe I got all top 15 in, but anyway, those are my top matches, pay-per-view matches of all time. So once again, on the tablet, that is the list. I'll probably actually try and leave this in the description box depending on what happens. Also, I do have another list to be able to do with top favorite current guys of the current roster. I'll be able to do that tomorrow, most likely, with Brother Boston Fan, with Mr. Chris, and in response to Raphael Leduc. So again, this is my list. Hopefully you guys comment down below on what are your top favorite greatest pay-per-view matches. Feel free to leave a video response to me, to Simon, and just to actually keep this going, and hopefully I'll see your own list on YouTube and check it out, and comment down below on your videos if you guys want to do that, so feel free. I've been in here way too long, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Try not to be too long with the matches and explaining, but just to get the gist of it. With that being said, I'm out of here, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, whenever the hell that may be, most likely for tomorrow. See you then.